Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Listen, I am super excited about this season. This is a season of clarity. This is a season of development. This is a season of growth. For those of you that are looking to start your nonprofit organizations, or those of you that have started your nonprofit organizations, but you're struggling, this is your season for clarity. This is your season for really putting together the systems and the tools that are going to ensure that your organization is positioned to generate the revenue needed to operate. Who am I? My name is Jennifer. I am your nonprofit expert, over 39 years of experience. May is going to be 40 years of doing this work, not only as a nonprofit grant writer or fundraiser, but I am a master nonprofit strategist, helping organizations position themselves to raise money, to attract donors, to attract funding so that their programs and their operations can succeed and be sustainable. Today, I want to talk about a very dangerous mistake that many nonprofit organizations make, a very dangerous mistake that many nonprofit organizations make, and that is funding or focusing on your program. Funding and focusing on your program, but not the infrastructure. All right. This is why doing good without structure eventually stops the good that you're trying to do. I can't tell you the number of people that I speak with every day who say, Jen, I started my nonprofit organization, but we ran out of money. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and I'm funding everything by myself. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and we don't have any funders or donors or supporters. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and we can't get grants. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and we had to stop because we didn't have the funding that was needed to continue the work. And so this is why this is a very dangerous mistake that many of you are wanting to do good. Nothing wrong with wanting to do good. Jen, I want to start a ministry. Jen, I want to help single moms. Jen, I want to feed the homeless. Jen, I want to do transitional house. Jen, I want to do youth programs, right? Whatever it is that you want to do, the doing good without the structure to support that work. Now I know that many of you have heard the phrase, start a nonprofit, you can get a grant. Start a nonprofit, you can get funding. Start a nonprofit, you can get partners. And so in your mind you may think, once I start my nonprofit, then funding will come. Once I start my nonprofit, I can get a grant. Once I start my nonprofit, I can get donors. But I want to tell you that that is not the right framework of thinking. Why is that not the right framework of thinking? Because now you have begun the program. That is an expense, right? You went out, you got your 501c3, you did the paperwork, and now you start doing the program. And now money is going out. Money is going out. And now you're waiting for a grant. Now you're waiting to fundraise. Now you're waiting to find donors. But while you're waiting for those things, money is going out. You're paying for materials, you're paying for supplies, you're paying for equipment, you're paying for space, you're paying for all the things. And then if you don't get the grant, or if you don't have a plan to fundraise, or you don't make that as a part of your strategy, what happens? You have to stop doing good. You started because you wanted to do good. But what you left off was putting together the structure, the infrastructure to support that work, right? The infrastructure that's going to raise the money, the systems that are created for the organization to be able to sustain itself and the program. Because without that, eventually you have to stop doing good. Jen, we ran out of money. Jen, we don't have any funding. Jen, I was doing everything by myself and I couldn't keep going. Listen, this is a mistake that many of you make. And I get it. I get starting a nonprofit because you want to do good. That feels right? It looks right. It's even meeting a need. But behind the scenes, but behind the scenes, after you've done the program, after you've done the good work, behind the scenes, the organization is weak. Jen, we don't have a board. Jen, we don't have a budget. Jen, we don't have a fundraising plan. Jen, I'm funding everything by myself. Jen, I'm doing everything by myself. Jen, we don't have enough money to grow our program. So your program, the activities that you want to do, the doing good that you want to do, it feels right. It looks right. It is right. But that's only money going out. Now you're waiting for a grant. Now you're waiting for funders. Now you're waiting for donors. Waiting why? Because I don't have a plan to raise the money, Jen. I don't know how to raise the money, Jen. I don't know where to begin to raise the money. I thought once I started my nonprofit, grants were just going to come. I thought once I started my nonprofit, donors were going to come. And when that did not happen, why did it not happen? Because donors, funders, supporters, contributors, they don't give to your program. They give to your organization. What's the organization, Jen? The organization is what you started. The organization is the tool, is the system, has the strategy, has the infrastructure to raise the money on an ongoing basis. You shouldn't be waiting on a grant. You shouldn't be waiting to fundraise. And this is the mistake. This is the mistake. Because now you've put all of your money, all of your time, all of your energy into putting the program together, right? Because you want to do good. Nothing wrong with wanting to do good. It feels right. It looks right. But you've put all your money into an area of the organization that is only an expense. The program that you're focused on, the program that you want to do, the program that's your passion is an expense. I want you to just step back for a moment. I want you to look at this rationally. That you have filled out a form with the IRS. The IRS is not interested in your program. The IRS is interested in revenue. That your organization is positioned to generate the revenue. That's what your 501c3 is. It is a revenue code. It is not a program code. It is a revenue code. So what does that mean? That means you are setting up an organization because that's what applied for the 501c3. Your program did not apply for the 501c3. The organization applied to be considered and recognized as a 501c3. What is a 501c3? A 501c3 is not a program code. It is a revenue code. It is a code that says you are able, your organization is given permission and is able to generate revenue that is tax exempt. The program is not tax exempt. The organization is tax exempt. The organization is structured to raise a tax exempt revenue, not the program. But see, this is the mistake. That you put all your money in the program, put all your money in the program, and you're thinking the program is going to help me raise money. The program is going to get me a grant. Because I have a program, I'm going to get funding. And that's not true. It is the organization that gets the money. So putting all of your time, your energy, your effort in building the program and almost nothing in the infrastructure of the organization, the fundraising strategies, the revenue generating systems, acquiring donors, cultivating donors, generating your messaging, and being able to reach and make connections. That is what brings in the revenue to sustain the program. But if you put all your emphasis and your priority on the program, and nothing on developing the organization, then that program cannot be sustained. You got two hats. You got a program hat and you have an organizational hat. The organization is the tool that raises the money. It is the system. It is the engine. It is the infrastructure that generates the money for this program. The program is nothing but an expense. And this is why this is so dangerous. Let me say something else that may make you feel uncomfortable. Thank you all for joining, right? If you guys are new to me, I am Jennifer. I am a nonprofit expert, over 39 years of experience growing nonprofits, organizations, your ability, your structure, your strategy to raise money. Money is not your problem. You've got 15 streams of revenue, all right? Money is not your problem. Your problem is that you don't have the infrastructure, the systems, the tools, the plans, the strategy to raise the money. That's where I come in. And so I'm about to say something that's very uncomfortable for you. But this is what most people don't say this clearly, okay? If you do not focus on or prioritize your infrastructure of your organization, right? The infrastructure of your organization, where sits your communications, your visibility strategies, your donor acquisition, donor cultivation, your fundraising plans. If you don't pay attention to the infrastructure, if you don't invest in your infrastructure, you will eventually lose your ability to fund your mission. Why? Because that program is only money going out. Money going out, money going out for programs, money going out for materials, money going out for supplies, money going out for equipment, money going out for space, money going out for snacks, money going out for gas, money going out for the phone, money going out for all the things. Money going out. If you do not prioritize your infrastructure that raises the money, that raises availability, that does your marketing and your branding to attract, to reach those donors, funders, supporters, contributors, sponsors, where the money comes from, you will lose your ability to fund your mission. Listen, I've seen this happen over and over again. Organizations doing great work, helping people, serving their community, but constantly struggling financially, constantly trying to figure out funding, constantly operating in survival mode. And it's not because they don't care. It's not because the mission isn't important. It's because the organization was never built to sustain the work. Did you hear what I said? So today we're going to walk through this in detail, okay? We're going to talk about, where does this belief come from? Why are many of you prioritizing your program over your structure, your organizational structure? What's it really costing you? How money should be allocated and how to fix this before it costs you your organization. Now, I know a lot of people talk about starting a nonprofit, right? Fill out the paperwork, start a nonprofit, get your 501c3. You started a nonprofit, and that's not true. But I don't want to argue that point, okay? I don't talk about starting your nonprofit. I talk about funding it. I talk about sustaining it. I talk about ongoing cash flow. Because without ongoing cash flow, there is no money to cover those ongoing expenses. What are the expenses, Jen? You've got phone, you've got website, you've got internet, you've got gas, you've got materials, you've got supplies, you've got space, you've got equipment, you've got financial fees. You've got ongoing staff. You've got regular expenses. And if the organization does not have the systems, the strategies, the tools, the plan to pay for those expenses, then that program can't exist. I want you to stay with me, okay? Because at the end I'm going to show you why so many of you end up spending more money trying to fix this later than you would have spent doing it right from the beginning. Now, I know no one talks about how do I structure my nonprofit? Everybody talks about starting a nonprofit, filling out the paperwork, right? Getting a grant. But no one talks about how do I structure my nonprofit to get the grant? Because the grant is not the application. To get a grant, it is not the application. I'm going to say that again for the people in the bushes. The application is not what gets you the grant. It's the information about your organization that gets you the grant. Okay? Let's talk about where this came from. Where did all of this come from, Jen? Because I've been doing this for 39 years. May is going to be 40. And I'm constantly amazed. I'm always thinking to myself, why are people thinking this? Like, where did this come from? And I know for most of you, you've never worked in a nonprofit, you never led a nonprofit, you never started a nonprofit, you never run a nonprofit. Okay. And for many of you, you think that a nonprofit is the program, and that's not true. The program is an expense, money going out. That's what you're paying for out of your money, out of your pocket, right? That's what you're paying for out of your pocket is the program. So there has to be money coming in. We know there are donors. We know there are sponsors. We know that there are grants. We know that there's in kind. We know that there are program fees, products and services, partnerships and collaborations. And we know that there are events. That's 8 streams of revenue. That means what? Your organization is supposed to be bringing in revenue from more than one place. Okay, but where did this come from? Let's start here because it didn't happen randomly. Your confusion is not random. Okay. Your stuckness, Jen, I started my nonprofit, but now I'm stuck. Jen, I started my nonprofit, but we don't have any funding. Jen, I started my nonprofit and now I don't know what to do next. Jen, I started my nonprofit, but my board is not helping me raise money. Jen, I started my nonprofit. I can't find a board. Jen, I started my nonprofit, right? And now you are stuck. That didn't happen randomly. You did not wake up and decide to ignore putting together your organization. Okay. You were taught to think this way. It didn't happen randomly. You were taught. Okay. Let's talk about number one, the overhead myth. Okay. Many of you were told a good nonprofit puts its money into program, right? And so many of you are like, well, Jen, I don't want there to be a question about the money. I want all the money to go to program. No money comes into the organization because I don't want anybody to think that we're doing anything weird with the money, Jen. So we're just going to put everything into the program. The whole dollar that comes in, we're going to put it in the program, right? Because a good nonprofit puts its money into program, right? We don't want anybody to think that we're doing anything funny with the money, right? So what did you hear? You hear staff is not necessary. Operations is not a priority. Mm-mm. Um, Trying to get help or qualified people to do the work, oh, that's all bad because all the money should go to program. And because you are trying to prove that you are doing good, you're starving the organization. You're starving the organization. And here's the truth: an underfunded organizational structure, infrastructure. No, Jen, we don't have a fundraising plan. No, Jen, we can't hire help to train us how to do it properly. No, Jen, all of our money goes to program. No, Jen, we don't have board members. No, Jen, I, as the executive director, have never raised any money. I can't afford to get training. I can't afford to get clarity or understanding or to get help. No, I can't do that, Jen, because that would be a waste. All the money's supposed to go to program. But let me say this: that if your organization is not running efficiently, it can't stand. If you don't have a fundraising structure, if you don't have a fundraising plan, if you don't know how to fundraise and you say, I can't afford to learn how, I can't afford to take a training, I can't afford to hire help, I can't afford to do that. What does that mean? That means your organization is not operating efficiently and is not stable. Jen, we started our nonprofit, but then we had to stop because I was funding everything out of my pocket, and I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have experience, and I just couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to invest in the organization's ability to sustain itself. Oh, no, no, no. I couldn't do that, Jen, because that's bad. That's bad, Jen. If I put all any money into learning how to run the organization, or if I put any money into learning how to raise money for the organization, that's bad. And that's not true. Because now you will start, pour all this money out into program until you run out. You don't use your personal credit card, you don't use your finances, you don't use your savings. All the money now is gone. The organization doesn't have any money. And now you have to stop doing good. Why? Because the organization is not stable. Did that work out? No, no. Number two, again, you all were trained. You were trained to think that program was your organization. Reason number two, that you were trained: you have this pressure of public messaging, right? Many of you have to feel like you have to say 100% of the money raised goes to the cause. 100% of the money goes to the cause. Because you believe that that's what the donor, the funder, and the supporter wants to hear. You believe that if you don't say 100% goes to the cause, that again, you will feel like maybe they think we're doing something funny with the money. But let me tell you guys what funders really want. Okay? They want accountability. They want an organization that is sustainable, that you have the systems, that you have the structure, that you have the leadership that knows how to support the organization. They don't want a fragile organization. The donor, the funder, the supporter, the community, they don't want a fragile organization. You're always at the brink of having to close your doors. You're always out of money. You never have any money. You don't ever, everything is a crisis. They don't want a fragile organization. They want a reliable one. How can your organization be reliable if you don't have any money coming in? You started your program, but then you had to stop. You can't scale or expand your program because there's no money. You have to stop doing the whole thing for a while because, you just got to regroup. You may then have to go back and redo the mission all over again. That's fragile. Your donors and your funders don't want a fragile organization. They want a reliable one. But again, many of you were taught No, 100% has to go to the program. 100% has to go to the program. And that's not true. Listen, this is a big one. This is a big one that many of you all have been taught, that many of you start your nonprofit because you care about people, right? This is your psychology. Your psychology is I'm starting my nonprofit, Jen, because I see a need. I'm starting my nonprofit because I care about people. Um, yeah, I started my nonprofit, Jen, because I want to make a difference. Jen, I started my nonprofit because I want to help people like me. You know, what I went through, I want people not to go through what I went through. That's why you started. You did not start it because you love. You did not start the nonprofit because you love financial reports, because you love governance, because you love donor pipelines, right? Because you love communications and speaking to people. That's not why you started it. You started it because you love people. So naturally, you move forward on the program, right? Because that's what you love. And then you move away from those things that you don't love. I don't love fundraising, Jen. I don't love talking to people. I don't love social media. I don't love attracting donors and funders. I don't love those things. So naturally, you move away from those things, but those are the things that are designed to generate revenue into the organization. Because you started the nonprofit, because of what you love, the program, you've moved away from the things that are put in place to raise money for the program. Because the one putting together the systems, the structures, the strategy of the organization, that doesn't feel meaningful. That feels more administrative. That feels more like, work that I have to do, not that I want to do. I want to do the program, Jen. I want to meet the people, Jen. I want to be in front of the people, Jen. I want to feel like I'm really making a difference. That work feels meaningful. But the work that puts together the structure, the strategy, the systems to raise the money to do that meaningful work, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, Jen. That feels administrative. I don't want to do that. I put that off. And here's the reality: the administrative work is what keeps the meaningful work alive. This is why this whole thing is dangerous. Let's talk about what actually happens when you put all of your focus and your money into programs and not infrastructure. You're not saving any money. In fact, you're spending more, okay? But this is what's dangerous. The program grows faster than the organization. Jen, my program took off. My program was a hit, Jen. Oh my gosh, my program was so amazing. So many people wanted my program. My program was amazing, Jen. You start helping people, and now you're expanding, you're adding services, you're increasing the activities. But guess what? Your organizational systems don't grow with you. So now you're struggling for funding to keep up with them activities. Everything you're doing yourself because you don't have any money to hire help, right? You don't have any money to sustain the work that you're doing. Only money going out. Nothing is documented. Nothing is scalable. Everything depends on you. If anything happens to you, this whole thing shuts down. Fundraising is inconsistent or non existent. Why? Because you didn't invest in donor acquisition, fundraising systems. You didn't invest in strategy. You didn't invest in relationship buildings. So now what happens? Money becomes unpredictable. Then we got a grant, but then when the grant ran out, we didn't have any other money coming in. Jen, we applied for some grants, but we didn't get those grants, Jen. And no, we don't have any donors. We don't have any funders, Jen. I'm paying for everything out of my pocket. My board is donating every now and then, but the money is what? Unpredictable. And then you find yourself saying, we just need funding. Funding is my biggest challenge. Jen, if I could just find donors, Jen, if I could find partners, if I could just get a grant. That means what? You didn't put the infrastructure to bring in the money. That's what's missing. The money is just a symptom. The money is proof. You needing funding is proof. We didn't put that fundraising strategy together. We didn't put that fundraising plan together. We did not put together our donor acquisition, donor development. We didn't put that together. And then what happens? You think you're an organization. You became the organization. You, hear me now, you became the organization. You the one who started this whole thing. You became the organization. You are the program. You are the fundraiser. You are the one that does operations. You are the admin. You are the decision maker. You're the one that's putting in all the money. You're the one that's volunteering all the time because you can't hire anybody. You have become the organization. And you cannot maintain this organization. Now you're overwhelmed. Now you're depressed. Now you feel the pressure of, I'm doing this and there's nothing, I don't have any help. Because that's how you set it up. So now you've created a cycle that you can't escape. Because you're not investing in raising money. You don't have enough money. Because you're not investing in raising money, you don't have enough money. I'm going to say it one more time. Because you're not investing in raising money. I'm not talking about fundraisers. I'm not talking about getting a grant. I'm talking about putting together the systems, the strategies, the tools that are designed to generate the all streams of revenue. You've got 16 streams of revenue. 16. Everybody has 8. Everybody has 8. But you don't have any money coming in because you didn't invest in money coming in. So why? What happens? You keep focusing on the program. You keep focusing on the program. You keep focusing. If I do the program, if I dig into the program, if I expand the program, more program, that's money going out, more money going out, even more money going out. Now you're busy running more programs, which prevents you from building the infrastructure to bring in the money, which keeps you underfunded. And that's the cycle that you're in. That's just like, we're just waiting on donors, Jen. We're just trying to find donors, Jen. But I'm too busy with program. Jen, I'm trying to find board members that can help us raise money. Jen, I have board members but they can't help us raise money. Why? Because they just don't know what to do. How about you didn't give them what they needed to do? So now you're still in the cycle. Now you got board members that are not engaged because you didn't know what to give them to help you raise money because you didn't have a plan, you didn't have a strategy, you didn't have a structure or an infrastructure for them to follow. Nothing is written down. Everything is undefined and underfunded. And you stay in that cycle for years. Jen, we're doing program, but we don't have enough money. Jen, we're doing program. I'm doing everything by myself. Jen, we're doing program, and you are the organization. Anything happens to you. Jen, I've been running my program 5 years, 10 years more. We don't have any donors. We don't have any funders. We don't have any supporters. We don't have any contributors, Jen. We can't get a grant. That's a cycle that you're not supposed to be in. You're not supposed to be in that cycle. Let me tell you guys how money should actually work. All right? Let's just get practical because this is where most of you feel or get uncomfortable. Okay? And this is a healthy allocation of money. A sustainable nonprofit typically operates within a range of about 60 to 75% of the money going to program. All right. So out of every dollar, 60 to 75% goes to program. All right. Now I say 70 cents because it's a nice round number, 70 cents. Okay. 60 to 75. 70 cents goes to program out of every dollar. That means 15% to 25% goes to infrastructure. That's your operating systems, right? That's your finances, your financial management. That's your governance. That's your compliance, all right? Then you've got fundraising, development. How much money goes into raising money? About 20%, okay? That means you've got about 20 to 40, usually about 30% is supporting your ability to raise and manage money. How much money you guys putting into raising money? If you spend $1 on fundraising done correctly, you should see a $3 to $10 return. For every dollar spent, you should receive $3 to $10 return. So when a founder says, I don't want to spend any money on fundraising, I don't want to spend any money on learning how to fundraise, what you're really saying is, I don't want to invest in generating revenue. I don't want to invest in generating revenue. There's a number that a lot of founders, grant writers, grant funders particularly, they'll ask, so how much does it cost to raise $1? How much does it cost your organization to raise $1? For every dollar spent, you should be getting back $3 to $10 return. If you're not spending any money to know how to put together your fundraising system, if you're not spending any money to understand how fundraising works, if you're not spending any money to understand where the diverse streams of revenue come from, what you're really saying is, I don't want to invest in generating money. I don't want to do that. Let me say this way. Your infrastructure, your fundraising systems, those places and structure within your organization, your donor communication, your communications, your donor acquisition, donor cultivation, managing your CRM, all those things, that's not where money goes to die. That is where money is created, it is protected, and it is multiplied. It's not multiplied in that program. It's not protected in that program. It's not created in that program. It's in the organizational infrastructure. Listen, this is why many of you all drift away from structure. Even when you understand what I'm saying, you still drift away. And this is why. It's because the program feels urgent, right? The program feels really urgent. People need help now, Jen. People need help right now. Jen, there are so many needs in the world. We got to do it right now. And so you prioritize action over structure. And the structure is what is required to generate the revenue, the resources to continue to do the work. Otherwise, you can't help the people. You can't continue to help the people. But I get it. You feel urgency right now, right? So that's your priority. Program, 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 program. We need money for the program, program. And the program feels rewarding. The program feels rewarding. You can see impact immediately. Your infrastructure is invisible, right? So that doesn't feel less, that feels like it's not as important. The board work, the budgeting, the fundraising plan, donor acquisition, working out your CRM, all of that, that doesn't seem as rewarding as the program. And so you think, oh my gosh, I don't have enough money to invest because everything goes to the program. I don't have enough money to invest. But here's the truth. That thinking is what keeps you from ever having enough. Fear spending money on the infrastructure. Jen, I can't put money into the infrastructure. What if I put money in the infrastructure, Jen? What about the program? That thinking is what's going to keep you from ever having enough. And the truth is, there's a lack of knowledge. Many of you don't know what a system is, what system to build, or how to build it, or what order to build it in. So you just avoid it. You just avoid it altogether. You don't know. Jen, I don't know how to put together a fundraising plan. Jen, I don't know how to do donor cultivation. Jen, I don't know how to find funding. So what do? You avoid it because you don't know. I want to give you guys some real examples. And this is where it gets real. Example one is a burned out nonprofit leader. Okay. You're doing everything, you are exhausted, and the organization slows or stops because you're burnt out. You're burnt out. You're running program, you're doing everything. Example two is the always broke nonprofit. You've got a great mission, you're doing great work, but you don't have any funding coming in. You're always struggling with no money. Example three is the missed opportunity organization, right? You receive funding, but you don't know how to leverage it, right? Jim, we got the grant, but we spent it. And so now we don't have any money coming in. And so now the money's gone. And we're back to not having any money. You received funding, but instead of knowing how to leverage the money to bring in more money, you spent it. And now the money is gone. It just disappeared. Now we're back to not having enough money. Example four, you're the catch-up organization, right? Now you want to catch up. Jim, we need donors. Jim, we need funding. Jim, we need a structure. Jim, we need a board. Jim, we need a board training. Jim, we need a fundraising plan. Now you're already running the programs, but now you're trying to build the organizational structure under pressure. Now we need donors, Jen. Now we need funding, Jen. Now we need board training. Now I need to understand, Jen, how to put together a fundraising plan. Now you're doing this under pressure because you're already running the program. This is the truth about starting a nonprofit. This is the truth. And I want to be clear. Starting a nonprofit does not happen overnight. And it does not happen when you file paperwork or when you launch a program. That is not the beginning. That is the visible part. That's the visible part. The real beginning is your structure, your systems, your strategy, your sustainability, your ability as the leader, the executive director, the founder, the CEO, that you are able to build and create and implement the systems and the strategies to sustain what you started. That's the beginning. At this point, many of you might be thinking, I didn't know this. And then you might say, I need to fix this. And so you try to figure out what pieces to fix, right? I need to fix this in pieces. And so you may go out and you may take a fundraising class, right? So a fundraising class may run you anywhere between, I don't know, 79, 89, 100, $300. Might even take you up to $1,500. I don't know, a fundraising class. Then you might take a grant writing course. A grant writing course may cost you anywhere between $500 and $2,500, right? You may go out and get a board training class. You want to learn how to build boards. So you might pay somebody $250 to $1,000. Right? So you're going in pieces. Let me go get a fundraising class. Let me take a grant writing class. Let me take a board training class, right? So you're paying for all of this. So now you've spent anywhere between $1,000 to upwards of $5,000 on bits and pieces. I took a grant writing class over here. I took a social media class over here. I took a fundraising class over here. I took all these different things. And you still don't have a system. Why? Because you learn things in pieces. Put pieces in the chat. You learn things in pieces and not as a system. All those pieces work together. They form one system, not three little pieces of systems. So you learned all these little things in pieces, and you're trying to figure out, why aren't these pieces working? Because all of those pieces are a piece of one system. You should get all of it in one system. Listen, and that's the difference, is understanding the system and all the pieces of the system, not just little pieces of things that you think you should know. This is why I created my 3-day nonprofit summit, May 6th, 7th, and 8th in Houston, Texas. And this is not just fundraising. This is not grants. This is not startup. This is the full structure in sequence, connected and applied. You don't leave with information. You leave with clarity and direction on how to implement the system, right? If you and when you're ready to stop guessing, many of you guys are guessing. You all are trying to guess your way up onto success. And it's already laid out as a system. I want to invite you to join the summit. All right. If you're ready to fix your infrastructure in the next 30 days, my team and I can put your whole system together for you. If you want a free assessment, right? If you want to say, Jen, I don't know where I am. I'm all over the place. We just need to put your system together. Every organization operates under the same system. It does not matter what your nonprofit is. It does not matter what your program is. It does not matter where you are. Every organization works and raises money with the same system. All right? We just need to put your system in place. That's it. I'm going to say this: programs create your impact. Your organizational structure, your infrastructure is what sustains it. Funding follows structure. If you don't have a fundraising plan, if you don't have a fundraising structure, if you don't have a fundraising system, there is no funding. Funding does not follow good intention. Funding follows structure, not passion, not intention. When you are ready to put that structure together, I'm here and happy to help you. My name is Jennifer. I'm your nonprofit expert. I hope that I've been clear. I hope that this has been clarifying. And I hope that you understand that you can take your organization from a place of startup to sustainability. And I am here to help. My name is Jennifer. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.